When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
This is The Planted Runner. I'm Coach Claire Bartholic. Has this ever happened to you? You're out on a nice run on a beautiful day. The stress of your daily life is melting away, and you feel confident that every step you take is getting you that much closer to your fitness goals. But then suddenly, you're hit with a stabbing pain just below your ribs on one side. It's like a dull knife has just pierced through the muscle. So you press your hand to the spot in hopes that it'll go away, but it doesn't help. Your blissed out run has suddenly turned to agony. You've got a serious side stitch and nothing is helping it go away. Is there anything you can do to make it better and keep running? Or even better, prevent side stitches in the first place? Let's find out. Welcome to The Planted Runner. I'm Coach Claire Bartholic, and my mission is to help you improve your running, your mindset, and your life with science-backed training and plant-based nutrition. On today's show, we are going to go into the science of side stitches. You'll learn which runners are most susceptible to them, what you can do to prevent them, and how to deal with a side stitch on the run. This will be a super helpful episode if you've ever suffered from side stitches or if you never want to. Before we get into all the details, I want to thank everyone who has already downloaded my brand new Race Week Companion at theplantedrunner.com/raceweek. You are preparing for the most stressful week of your marathon training with the toolkit you need to be your best on race day. If you haven't gotten yours yet, what are you waiting for? You'll get a comprehensive race week nutrition guide so you know exactly what to eat when, a packing checklist for local or destination races, running guidelines for your final week, pacing guide for any kind of race, mental strength guided visualization, a self-evaluation guide on how to accurately gauge your fitness based on key training factors, and more. And the best part is you can use this affordable guide right away for your race this spring, and then it's yours to keep forever because I promise you, you'll want to go through it again for your next marathon. To grab your Race Week Companion, go to theplantedrunner.com/raceweek. That's theplantedrunner.com/raceweek. As always, don't forget to stay tuned all the way to the end of the episode for another Mental Strength Minute. Fortify your mind in 60 seconds or less. According to a 2015 study in Sports Medicine, 70% of runners reported experiencing a side stitch in the past year. One reason it's so common in runners is that it tends to hit when you are performing repetitive movements with your torso held upright, which is exactly the position you hold when running. I've had my share of side stitches, and if you've never had one, they feel like a stabbing pain right underneath your ribs. The pain can be so distracting that thinking of anything else becomes impossible. Running becomes far more difficult than it needs to be, and if it gets too bad, you might even feel the need to stop. Not exactly what you want to do in the middle of a hard workout or a race. Now, to be clear, side stitches are not the same as muscle cramps. Those are a completely different, yet also painful, affliction for runners. But a lot of people mistakenly use the word cramp to describe side stitches, so I want to remove any confusion here. So what does the science say about side stitches? They are so common that they should be well studied and they should have an easy solution. Well, not so fast. Side stitches are technically called exercise-related transient abdominal pain, or ETAP. For reasons that aren't entirely understood, they most often happen on the right side of the body. While they are not exclusive to runners, we are prone to it more than other sports. A few survey-based studies on runners and other athletes have shown that eating a large meal or drinking concentrated, sugary fluids like fruit juice too soon before running will increase your risk of developing a stitch. But interestingly, being older and training more often seem to confer a protective effect, with older and more experienced runners suffering from fewer side stitches. So that means beginner runners are more likely to be susceptible to them. So if you are a newer runner, consider the foods you're eating as a starting point. Now, you might think that that's all there is to it. Eat too much sugar too close to exercise and you're likely to get a stitch. But that's not the whole picture. Cyclists are far less likely to experience side stitches than runners, so it might not just be exercising on a full stomach that's doing it. Do you know what other types of athletes also suffer from side stitches as commonly as runners? I'll give you a second to guess. Give up? Horseback riders. That's right. You might never have thought that running and horseback riding have much in common, but up to 62% of horseback riders claim to experience the same kind of side stitches that runners do. Horseback riding is a low-intensity yet high-impact sport, where cycling is low-impact. So perhaps the impact has more to do with the problem than timing or sugar content of foods. One explanation is that a side stitch is an irritation of the connective ligaments inside the abdomen. This theory claims that the impact during activity pulls the organs in your abdomen downwards, tugging on the tissues in the upper abdomen and eventually creating an irritation, or a side stitch. Let's do a quick anatomy lesson to explain it further. Your abdominal lining, called the peritoneum, has two layers. The outer layer lies against the abdominal wall and wraps around the diaphragm. The inner layer covers your internal organs. There's supposed to be some space between these two layers, which allows everything to function smoothly. But when there's friction between those two layers and that little bit of space decreases, the membranes rub together. And that's when we experience the gasping pain of a nasty side stitch. This would explain why side stitches are common in bouncy sports like running and horseback riding, but they're rare in the low-impact sports like cycling. You can also imagine why consuming a meal, regardless of its contents, too soon before running can bring on a side stitch, because your full stomach pushes on the abdominal wall, squeezing out any space. But interestingly, sugar content also seems to have an effect on the occurrence and intensity of side stitches. One study showed that ingesting fruit juice and even popular sports drinks before running caused stitches more often than plain water. It's also possible that poor posture can play a role too. A study published in the Journal of Science and Medicine in Sport in 2010 found that people with a rounding of the upper back are more likely to get side stitches and experience them more severely. The researchers theorized that poor posture might impact the sensitive nerves that supply the membrane, making them more prone to irritation. But how do we explain the 75% of swimmers who report getting side stitches? Posture and impact forces aren't even at play in the water. While the scientists are busy trying to figure out why cyclists seem to be immune while horseback riders, swimmers, and runners suffer, there are still some ways that you can prevent and eliminate side stitches. I'll go over those when we come back. The Planted Runner is sponsored by Liquid IV. As the weather starts to warm up, you know that dehydration is a much bigger factor in your running, and water alone is not always going to be enough on those sweaty runs, which is where Liquid IV comes in. Liquid IV's formula, powered by Live Hydroscience, is clinically shown to maintain hydration better than water for up to 4 hours. All you need to do is add a packet to your water bottle before your run, and you're ready to go with their true-to-fruit flavors, because when it tastes this good, there is no excuse for not staying hydrated. Find all your favorite hydration multiplier flavors on their website, from lemon lime to pina colada. Break the mold and own your ritual. Just one stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code PLANTED at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code PLANTED at liquidiv.com. Welcome back to The Planted Runner. I'm Coach Claire Bartholic. The science on side stitches is far from complete, but there are a few things you can do to minimize them happening to you. The first step is to make note of what you're eating and drinking before running. You might want to try running first thing in the morning on an almost empty stomach to see if you get any relief. If that's not feasible for your schedule, try to make sure that your last meal is at least 2 to 3 hours before you run and you're hydrating with plain water. Another potential way to stop the stitches before they start is to work on your strength training, especially in your core. One study of 50 runners published in the Journal of Science and Medicine in Sport found that stronger transverse abdominal muscles, the deep core muscles that wrap around your spine and act as stabilizers, were linked to a decrease in ETAP. Some great bodyweight moves include dead bugs, bird dogs, glute bridges, and plank variations, so try to work those into your strength training routine. But what if you still get a side stitch? There's good evidence that deep breathing and contracting the abdominal muscles will get rid of the stitch without slowing you down. One technique is to force your stomach to do the opposite of what it naturally wants to do. Usually when you breathe in, your abdomen expands with air. When you breathe out, it contracts. Try forcing it to do the opposite. It's a little difficult to get the hang of at first, but practice a few times when you're not running and it will become easier. Once you've got the rhythm down, make your breaths deep and forceful, taking in all the air that you can, every little gulp that you can manage, and then letting it all out, forcing out every single molecule. Do this a few times on the run, and your cramp should disappear. I've tried this technique on a run, and to be honest, I never quite got the hang of it, but that's because I found something that's similar, but just a little easier and just as effective. When a side stitch appears, what you want to do is stretch your diaphragm to alleviate the pain. Your diaphragm stretches when you exhale, and it contracts as you inhale. So to stretch it completely, take a big breath in and then blow the breath out as entirely as you can until you're almost coughing. It sounds like this. Try that a few times and the stitch should disappear. You'll still have to slow a little at first because of the change in breathing rhythm, but you won't have to stop completely. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it. And if that doesn't work, you might just have to stop and stretch. Try putting your hands on your head and leaning from side to side. You can also put pressure on the area with one hand, which might help a little. After a few deep breaths, you should be able to get back to your run. Now, when is there cause for concern? If the pain is sharp and stabbing and does not stop after you stop running, it's something that you might want to get checked out. Appendicitis can at first feel like a side stitch. If the pain is in your lower abdomen and you experience high fever, vomiting, and or diarrhea, then you should head to your local emergency room. And if you have chest tightness or pain along with your side stitch, seek emergency care to rule out a cardiac event. The good news is that, as annoying as they are, side stitches are usually completely harmless and the pain does fade. So keep that core strong, don't eat or drink too much before your runs, and don't forget to breathe. And now it's time for the Mental Strength Minute. Fortify your mind in 60 seconds or less. Today's topic is manifestation. Similar to visualization, manifestation is the technique of repeating positive affirmations out loud that tell your brain that you already have what you are searching for. Even if you aren't confident about these affirmations at first, with practice and repetition, the neurons in your brain will soon be wired to accept them as truth. We can even try it right now. Repeat these phrases out loud and with conviction. I am strong. I am fast. Running is joyful and easy for me. I improve my fitness with every run. I reach my goals effortlessly. I am a relaxed and confident runner. A regular manifestation practice can transform the thoughts in your head, which in turn has the power to radically improve your running. Before we go, I'd love to hear from you. Would you be interested in a guided manifestation episode just for running? I'd love to make one for you. If you are, please email me at claire@theplantedrunner.com and let me know. Thank you for listening to The Planted Runner, part of the Evergreen Podcast Network. Don't forget that you can enter to win a free custom training plan for your next race and get featured on the show. Just write an Apple Podcast review and enter at theplantedrunner.com/PRLab. Of course, reviews are the #1 way to boost this show's reach, and it's a great way to tell me what you'd like to hear next because I read every single one. Have a great run today.
There is no hood like parenthood. When you meet a fellow parent, you just kind of get each other on a whole nother level. Hi, I'm Kanika Chadda Gupta. I'm a former CNN journalist, mom of 3, including twins, and host of That's Total Mom Sense, the podcast. I interview changemakers on their life lessons, legacy, and superpower of intuition, aka their mom sense and dad sense. I've had some pretty amazing parents on my show.
Hey, what's up? I'm Kelly Rowland.
Hi, this is Chelsea Clinton. It's me, Bobby Brown. Can't wait to share my story.
Episodes release every Thursday. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Join my tribe at thatstotalmomsense.com and follow me on Instagram at Kanika Chadda Gupta. I'm thrilled to be on this journey with you.